Hey guys, it's the Grumpeteer. I'm back again with another Steven Universe vlog for the first time in a while, actually. I think the last episode was like February or something, so nice to be back. And what an episode to start with. An episode that sort of kicks off this sort of series of new episodes coming out. I think it's a series, or is this just might be a two-part special because I haven't seen the second one yet. Don't worry about it. That is, Can't Go Back. In this episode, Steven's trying to get to bed when Ronaldo wakes him up. Ronaldo takes him to look at a telescope that he has up in the lighthouse because it turns out that there's something strange on the moon, a barn. Steven immediately recognizes this as where Lapis Luigi is and takes Lion up to check it out. It turns out Luigi's using this strange sort of crystal ball of earth, more or less, to look through, and I guess she doesn't call it spying, more or less, but pretty much keep tabs on what's going on at Earth, specifically the crystal gems back in Beach City. Now, as we all know, Lapis left Earth a while ago just because she was kind of overwhelmed with the diamonds and all that jazz, and since then, nobody knows where she's been. Now, keep in mind, again, that was only just a few episodes ago, but look, it's been a long time, okay? I feel like Steven Universe is an old friend that I only see every now and again. Thanks, Teen Titans Go. Now you're that friend that gets really annoying after 5 drinks at a party. 1 drink at a party. So it turns out that Lapis has been, spying on Earth this whole time. It turns out that she's also been practicing her singing. She has a nice musical number, and her and Steven kind of level with, hey, maybe you could come back to Earth. Maybe you could move the barn to the beach. Maybe we could hang out sometime. And Lapis likes that idea. And of course, Steven, oh boy, him and his dreams. He has a dream that he sees the diamonds. He sees Pink Diamond kind of being shunned by Blue and Yellow. And then he sees what looks like the Pearl that we know using Rose's sword. And she doesn't do it, but you can assume that she's about to murk old Pink Diamond. And when Steven wakes up from this dream and tells Lapis about it, she is royally spooked. She bucks the next flight right out of here. She flies away, and then Steven dramatically turns to Lion and says, we need to find Pearl, which I don't know why that's so dramatic. I mean, they live together. But I digress. So this episode is, I enjoyed it a lot, and I would normally just see this as one of those trying too hard to be dramatic episodes, which I've talked about on these vlogs before. But I do enjoy this one. I think it's done it with a bit more heart, a bit more time. It doesn't shovel a lot on you. If you think about it, all that really happens in this episode is Steven meets Lapis. Steven says bye to Lapis. They don't have some big thing in between where Lapis, kind of goes back and forth with her decision. She never really decides on Earth. I mean, you can, I guess, sort of tell by her animation that she's thinking of it, but I would argue that that doesn't exactly mean that she's convinced. And then she kind of just scoots. And I would understand an argument that would say that this would make this a practically useless episode, as it didn't really do anything besides just show that Lapis can sing and then send her on her way again. But I definitely think that it redeems itself with having that dream of the diamonds and of Rose and all that. And while I do think that Steven's thing at the end saying, we have to find Rose, is a bit silly. That's like me turning, it's like me turning to my car and saying, we have to go home! It's not. It doesn't exactly have the dramatic effect that you want when you actually think about it. But overall, I do feel that this was an episode that wasn't trying too hard to be dramatic, and it wasn't dramatic by any means. I would think, if anything, this was definitely a more cinematic episode. I mean, this isn't anything grand or royal, especially on a scale of animation or TV animation to that extent. This isn't Weirdmageddon by any chance. But it's definitely a bit more atmospheric. It takes its time. It's a lot more dialogue-based. And while most episodes are, this is one that really relies on just 2 characters pretty much bouncing off of each other. And for the most part, it's kind of a one-sided conversation with Lapis pretty much just saying why she doesn't want to go back to Earth, pretty much listing her grievances, more or less. But of course, the big thing in this episode is Lapis having her own musical number. As far as I'm aware, please, I hope I'm not making an idiot of myself here by saying that this is her first musical appearance. This is the first time she's sang. I hope I don't sound like an idiot when I say that, because I've only been watching this show now for, 6 years. but I think this is the first time she sang. I couldn't tell you a thing about who her voice actress is, but she has a very nice voice. I definitely enjoy the song. I like the instrumentation. It's very bare. It's very minimalistic, I guess. That nothing that I hold against it naturally. I think it's fine. But if I had to give the music to anything in this episode, it wouldn't be the musical number. It would be the music, the background music, especially when Stephen first wakes up from his dream. There's sort of this, panicky sort of stage that Lapis goes into when she leaves and blah, blah, blah. And the music takes this more techno, it actually reminded me a lot of the Earthbound soundtrack. Like this sort of techno, beat-based, electronic kind of music that definitely conveys not a sense of urgency, but definitely a sense of panic, a sense of some sort of something going on behind the scenes that we as the audience don't understand, and maybe the characters themselves don't understand. I might be reading a bit too into it on that, but I do really enjoy the music they used. I'm never really exactly the fan of the NES music that they kind of always utilize in the background unless they're doing something pretty with it. But no, I did like this one a lot, and I really think that it made the scene something that normally would just be a character freaking out, having an overreaction, and leaving. I think that the music really added to it. And besides that, I just really can't find anything else to say. Not a bad episode by any means, but just sort of a middle-of-the-road one, and definitely, I guess, leading up to what's happening next episode. I hope there is one, and if there is, I'll see you then. Until then, signing off. Goodbye.